Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Now let's get in some front page news. Teslin Figueroa, good morning.
Good morning, DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God. And Red is back in the building.
That's
good morning, Red.
He said good morning. Now let's start off with sports. All LeBron James fans. Now he's changing his jersey back to number 23 in honor of Bill Russell. So he's going back to the number 23.
I didn't even know that he had changed it back to 6. I wasn't paying attention. Because he's always gone between like 23 and 6 throughout his whole career.
Yeah.
How come they haven't retired 23 all across the NBA? Nobody
Jordan,
should be allowed.
right?
Yeah, nobody should be allowed to wear the number 23 because of Michael Jordan.
I agree.
Like they should retire the number 23 for good.
I agree. Yeah, because they did that in baseball with Jackie Robinson's number was retired. Yeah, you can't have that number. Now, let's talk about this missing Alabama woman, Carly Russell. She was missing, but she came back home the other night.
Yeah, she was found on foot. Hoover, Alabama police are continuing the investigation into the disappearance of 25-year-old Carly Russell after she was found alive and safe Saturday night. Let's listen to the report by WVTM 13, and we will talk about it on the other side.
Carly Russell is alive and well. Hoover police say Russell returned home on foot just before 11 o'clock Saturday night and was taken to UAB to be checked out. Investigators say they've spoken to Russell since her return, but the details of that conversation are part of an ongoing investigation.
Yeah, so keyword, ongoing investigation. Now, her family has not made a statement. Police have not made a statement as of this time, as of this morning. They have asked for privacy, but they've released traffic camera footage, which shows her car pulling off on I-459. But that footage, I want people to pay attention. In the middle of the article is very clear. It says that the footage is still being analyzed as a part of the investigation in conjunction with the 911 call. They're trying to figure out the accurate time that footage was taken, and was that during the time that she made the call.
Now, Tez, a lot of people might not know what's going on or what's happening, so can you just tell people what happened and how she became missing, how she got over to that side of the road? Because some people just might have been just hearing the story for the first time.
Absolutely. An Alabama woman, as we mentioned, Carly Russell, she went missing. She said that she was driving on the highway and she saw a toddler. When she saw the toddler, she pulled over. When she pulled over, she called her sister. She called 911, and then she also called a family member as well, and saying that, hey, I see this toddler on the side of the road. I'm going to see what's going on. While she was on the phone, her family member said that they heard her scream and then lost contact with her. And so that is when they believe that she was abducted at the time. And then obviously a national manhunt went on for her for about 2 days. It was all over social media. The media was also covering it as well. There were calls for the media to, do more to find her. And then she returned home on foot. So right now, it's just, a lot of details that we still do not know. It's still developing. Things are changing. Like, for example, I just saw the update 32 minutes ago with the footage. So this is one of those things where, we just have to wait until more stuff comes out. Now, they did say when the officers arrived at the scene, they saw her wig, phone, and purse on the ground, but there was no sign of the child anywhere at all. So,
well, I'm glad that young lady is home. And if it indeed was an abduction, in connection with human trafficking, I pray to God that we can bring down every single human trafficking organization on this planet.
Absolutely.
And just for clarity, because I want to make sure I give that correction, it was Thursday, when she went missing.
Thursday night,
and then
right?
Saturday. That's correct. And Saturday when she was found.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Now, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you're upset, you need to vent, or you had a great weekend, whatever it may be, phone lines are open for you. 800-585-1051. Get it off your chest. Call us now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Everybody, it's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Teslin Figueroa is back. What up, Tiz?
What up, DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God?
Peace, Tez.
Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about this Arizona Republican referring to Black Americans as colored people in the House floor debate.
Yes, Arizona Republican Representative Eli Crane referred to Black people as colored people Thursday in a floor debate over his proposed amendment to an annual defense policy bill. Now, it prompted a stern rebuke from the former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Representative Joyce Beatty from Ohio. Let's listen to the exchange, and we will talk about it on the other side.
Well, Mr. Chairman, though that was unbelievably inspiring. My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment. We want the best of the best. We want to have standards that guide who's in what unit, what they do. The Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, they are not doing this because they want the strongest military possible.
Is the gentlelady asking for unanimous consent to take down the words?
I am asking for unanimous consent to take down the words of referring to me or any of my colleagues as colored people.
So colored people is offensive now?
Yeah, it's a bit.
I think so. I mean,
ask you a question.
Nobody refers to anybody black as colored.
That's not true. The NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. We say people of color all the time.
I don't think anybody referred to me as a colored person.
The NAACP is called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Right. But we had to put some context with this, though. You know, we're talking about a bill that was literally about removing race. Let me just kind of explain what the defense bill amendment is about so people can understand why it was so offensive. So the defense bill amendment that they were adding and arguing with at that particular time was about prohibiting the race, gender, religion, political affiliation for recruitment, training, education, promotion, or retention decisions. So basically it was, I'm paraphrasing when I say this, it's kind of like saying, let's end affirmative action, not called affirmative action, but very similar for the military. And so Representative Crane was arguing, saying that, no, we need to remove this because the military was not about being inclusive. And Representative Beatty was saying, no, you're undermining the opportunity for, black people to be able to serve. So when he used that term in that context, especially for somebody, Representative Joyce Beatty, 73 years old. So she's remembering certainly a time when that word was used derogatory, and since they were literally trying to figure out how to consider race, that's where the offense came from.
So why would we ever name a black organization something that has always been considered derogatory?
Then maybe that's a conversation we need to have to change that. But nobody's ever referred to me as colored. I don't think anybody would say, "Hey, look at the colored boy down the block. Look at the colored guy down the block."
They say people of color. They may not say colored people, but they say people of color. We say people of color all the time.
Well, for clarity, and I don't like saying people of color, and just as a side note, but just to answer that question on NAACP, it was established in 1909. So that was a word that was used at that particular time. So in 1909, we were called colored people. So I guess for Representative Beatty, she feels, and many other Democrats feel, the Republicans
don't make no sense either, because they didn't name it the National Association for the Advancement of Niggas. We was called niggas in 1909 too.
You are crazy.
If it's a derogatory term, it's a derogatory term. Like, why would we choose a derogatory term to represent a whole organization?
That's another conversation, but I don't think I've ever been referred to as a colored person, and I don't think when that man was referring to it, I don't think he was trying to refer to it in a nice way.
Well, he said colored person, then he said people. He said black people.
Yeah, because people started going, oh, you can hear him in the background sounding like they pissed off.
All I'm saying
that's like a black person going up there and saying, instead of saying white, saying something else.
I just think we need to stop looking at isolated incidents sometime and take a step back and look at the bigger picture, because if the colored people is indeed a derogatory term, we got to change a lot of things. We shouldn't let.
But I think it was deeper than the term, though, Charlamagne. I mean, it was about what they're trying to do to the colored people, which is take them out of not having an opportunity to serve in the military.
That's not what
having recruitment standards.
That's not what she said. We're highlighting this because she specifically pushed back on the use of the term colored people.
Right, but she pushed back. But I'm telling you the reason why she pushed back.
No,
so
I understand the context of debating over the bill, but in that particular moment, she was pushing back against the term colored person.
Sure, she was feeling away because he doesn't want colored people to have that. When you're recruiting for the military, you're saying, hey, we want a certain amount of diversity, and they're trying to end diversity.
He wasn't saying colored in a good way.
Listen, I'm not saying he was saying it in a good way. I'm just saying we got to take a step back and say, why is this organization called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People? Because that's ridiculous. If we're saying this is a derogatory term, that is ridiculous off the top. And the term people of color. Right?
Well, I don't like the term people of color.
Because all you're doing is flipping the words. Colored people, people of color.
But he came out and said he misspoke. He apologized, right? He said he quote unquote misspoke.
I didn't see anything about no misspoke.
Oh, and
I think
in CBS News it says Representative Eli Crane said he misspoke after he used the racially charged term "colored people" on the House floor.
That's right. He used the term "colored people," and we need to call the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to get on his ass about using the term "colored people."
Oh my goodness!
We don't see how ridiculous we be sounding sometimes, y'all.
I don't know. I don't know what this is, but I do want people to know that when you hear this bill, you're going to hear about this bill over the next few weeks. And Republicans are saying that this bill is about a 5.2% pay raise, but it is not just about the pay raise. It is about all of the other amendments that they attach to it. And that's how stuff kind of, it doesn't pass because they attach one thing to everything else. More than likely, this bill will fail at the Senate. It did pass at the House of Representatives. And certainly if it goes to President Biden's desk, it will more than likely be vetoed. So,
all right. Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Tiz.
Absolutely.
And make sure you subscribe to the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast, hosted by Teslin Figueroa on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network, and follow her on all social media platforms at Teslin Figueroa.
You know what? Let's open up the phone lines. It don't feel right to me. 800-585-1051. That's like talking to my neighbor and be like, yeah, did you see them colored people up the block?
Yeah, but guess what, Envy? The N-word don't feel right to you either when somebody else says it to you, but it feels right when you're having a conversation amongst your own.
That's facts.
But that don't mean it's right.
Yeah.
I've been said we should all of us should collectively stop using the N-word. But when it comes to that term, colored people, the dude said colored people, then he said black people. I don't see how that's offensive if we run around saying people of color all day, and we have an organization called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
That don't make it right. I'm just thinking like, just imagine your kids playing in the playground and be like, hey, who's my daughter playing with, the little colored boy? That just sounds crazy.
Context is everything. Yes, you're right. But in the context that he used it, it didn't offend me. But if it does offend, if we're saying now that colored people, right, is an offensive term.
Right.
Why do we have an organization called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People? Why do we say people of color? And our guy, who's a cameraman here, he came in, he said, I never use people of color because it just feels like you're saying colored people in a different way. And he's Italian. He just literally came in there and said that. He said he's never felt like it was right.
Color seems strange to me. But all right, let's talk about it. 800-585-1051. What's your thoughts? Let's discuss. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up. Early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.